One of these men is a steeplejack who has accidentally fallen a total of more than 3,000 feet. What is your name, please?
My name is Leon Plunk. My name is Leon Plunk. My name is Leon Plunk.
Only one of these men is the real Leon Plunk. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Jinx Falkenburg, Johnny Carson, and Kitty Carlisle on To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collins.
Thank you. Thank you, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Brought to you this week by new Easy On Spray Starch, the new push-button starch. Just spray it, iron instantly. Easy On Spray Starch. Jinx, may I welcome you. First time you've been with us on this show, and we're proud indeed to have you.
Thank you so much, Bud. I love watching it. I hope I can do well with the questions.
Well, if you have a good time, that's the most important thing. All right, panel, will you kindly open up your affidavit envelopes for the first time tonight? Follow along with this first affidavit as I read it. I, Leon Plunk, am a steeplejack. I have worked at the top of the Empire State Building, and I helped build the world's tallest man-made structure, the 1,600-foot TV tower at Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I have had more than my share of falls. Once, while working on a smokestack, I slipped and fell. On my way down, I grabbed a guy wire with my hands and legs and slid almost 1,000 feet to the ground. Another time, I was working on a radio tower when it collapsed. I leaped 30 feet through the air and grabbed a supporting cable. I fell off the roof of an airplane hangar and landed on solid concrete 60 feet below. I also fell off a water tower and landed on my back on a narrow steel beam. I almost forgot to mention that during my 300 military parachute jumps, my chute failed to function properly on 12 different occasions. Signed, Leon Plunk. Panel, as you heard, and as did I, these three gentlemen are all claiming to be Leon Plunk, steeplejack extraordinary. Gentlemen, are you quite comfortable and set to play our game?
Quite.
All right, let's begin this first round of questioning tonight with Tom Poston. Tom?
Thank you, Bud. Johnny and I were just saying that it would have been highly likely if they'd just walked off the face of the platform there and fell right on their head. Poor guy. What a name for a guy that falls a lot. Plunk. Number 3, would you tell us, please, what is the origin of a steeple or steeples?
The origin goes back to the old men that jacked up steeples. They jacked them up instead of building them. Therefore, the word steeplejack.
Thank you. That's my second question. Number 2, my first question is the origin of steeples themselves.
I don't know the origin of steeples. It's way before my time.
Oh, sure. Well, sure it is. Number 1, do you happen to know?
No, I don't.
Well, I'll ask number 3 then. What is the origin of the steeple itself? Do you know?
The origin.
I mean, why are they on a building? They...
Jinx.
Number 3, since you made 300 parachute jumps, I wonder if you can tell me the name of the general in charge of the 82nd Airborne.
I didn't understand your question, please.
The name of the general in charge of the 82nd Airborne.
Gavin?
Number 1, who was the man who went on to become mayor of New York who helped build the Chrysler Building?
Wait, I work on them. I don't know that kind of jazz.
He was also a worker, as one of you is. All right, number 2, how was your back affected when you fell and fell on your back?
It's very sore. Just
do the back part there.
Johnny Carson, please.
Isn't that awful?
Mr. Plunk, number 1, you're pretty clumsy to be in this business, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. I'm alive.
Yeah, well, you got a point there. Number 2, Mr. Plunk, what do you say? You're a parachutist? What do they say when you jump out of the plane?
I think you're referring to Geronimo.
Number 3? What do you say when you jump out of a plane?
Geronimo.
I thought it might have been who pushed.
Kitty.
These fellas jump voluntarily, dear, not like you would.
Oh, I see.
I want to know what's the origin of the steeple.
Well, I question these people over here, please, not the one of your own.
All right. Number 1, do you ever fall down at home?
No.
Oh, really? Number 2, do you ever dream of falling?
Yes, when I was a child, I used to.
You did. It was prophetic. Number 3, what happened to you when you fell and landed 60 feet on a solid concrete, whatever it was?
I went back to work.
That's all the time we have. It's time now to vote, if you will, please. So let's us get back to work. Will you mark your ballots right now? No more questions, and without consultation, will you vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3? As is customary, our team of challengers will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. All ballots marked? Everybody set? Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 2. He has a compact, rugged look about him, although I must say that number 3's answer about going back to work after falling 60 feet to a concrete floor was... What else could he do? This guy...
Jinx, your vote, please.
Number 3, because he looks as if he has nerves of steel, and he knew the name of General Gavin very well.
Johnny.
I voted for number 2. He's about 8 inches shorter than the other 2, and anybody who falls on concrete is... ought to be a little short there.
Kitty, which one did you select?
I voted for number 3. I agree with you. Number 2 being short, and looks like an athlete might grab these guy wires and things. But number 2 looks sort of sad, and I voted for number 3. I think he's the one.
All right, there we have it. Now, with our votes in and our minds made up, we'll determine, along with you, if you're watching the show at home, we trust you are. Let's see whether you guessed right, along with us, as we determine which one of these 3 gentlemen is the real Steeplejack. So will the real Leon Plunk please stand up?
Oh, come on.
Thank you, sir, very, very much. Oh, I don't know if any of you heard when I started to say, please stand up, Johnny Carson whispered, please fall down. It might have been a novel way to end that round. Number 1, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
My real name is Buzz Lloyd. I'm from Washington, and I'm a captain in the United States Navy.
Welcome to you, sir. Proud to have you with us. Number 2, your real name and what you do, please.
My name is Don Bushman. I'm from Falmouth, Massachusetts, and I'm a deep sea diver.
Well, we check up on the score, and we find that it was 2 and 2. There were 2 for and 2 again, so to speak. In other words, there were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each, which means for you gentlemen a total of $500 to spread among you, which I trust will make you realize you've had a pleasant evening. We certainly have. We've enjoyed it immensely, and we thank you for sharing it with us. Also, you will receive a package of fine products from the makers of Easy on Starch, and we thank you again. Good night. Good luck to you all. All right, panel, may I introduce our next team of challengers?
What is your name, please?
My name is Kathy Kusner. My name is Kathy Kusner. My name is Kathy Kusner.
Well, you've had a look. Now follow along with the affidavit, if you will, please, panel. I, Kathy Kusner, have been riding horses since I was 10 years old. I set the current American women's high jump record by taking a horse over a 7-foot 3-inch fence. For the 2nd year in a row, I am the United States Women's Steeplechase Champion. Last year, I was named Horsewoman of the Year. I am the only woman member of the United States Equestrian Team, which is currently competing against some of the top riders in the world at Madison Square Garden here in New York. Signed, Kathy Kussner. Very well, panel, you've heard these three charming ladies, all claiming to be Kathy Kussner, outstanding horsewoman. And let's begin this cross-examination with Jinx Falkenburg. Jinx?
Number 3, how many men are on your team?
3.
Who won, number 2, who won the opening event at Madison Square Garden?
The Argentinians.
Number 1, how do you train? How long do you train in order to be able to make a 7'3" jump?
Well, I've been riding since I was 10 years old.
Yes, but how long did you have to train to get over that high a jump?
Well, this was unintentional. I was not I was not going for the championship, you know.
All right. Number 2, would you describe the official apparel that one must wear in a show as at Madison Square Garden?
Well, on the team, we wear our pink coats and riding breeches, black boots. You have to have several other things to go along with that.
Johnny.
Number 1, you say the jump wasn't intentional?
Well,
I mean, you just...
I hope to get over it, but I was not after a record. You know, I was jumping against a man, and we're not jumping really for a record, and it turned out that we broke the record.
Oh, I see. Number 2, who won the last year? What country won the...
Oh, it's the Canadians.
The Canadians? Number 3, who won last year?
The United States.
Number 1, who was the horseman? You were the horsewoman? Is that the terminology? Yes, you were the horsewoman. Who won the men's counter?
Well, Bill Steinkraus was, as far as I know, he still is.
Bill Steinkraus.
Kitty.
Bill Steinkraus.
Number 3, what was the name of the trophy that was won by the Argentinians?
I don't know.
Number 2, do you know the name of the trophy?
The Democratic Trophy.
Number 1, what was the name of the trophy?
The Democratic Trophy.
And you know the name of the gentleman who accepted the cup?
Kennedy.
3.
Dr. Aram Beatty.
Dr. who?
Aram Beatty.
Can you tell me, number 2, when you set a horse at a jump, how do you hold the reins?
Well, you generally keep the feel of a horse's mouth and give them a head.
Number 1, have you ever hunted in England?
No, I have not.
Tom.
Thank you, Bud. Number 3, may I ask, I've seen jumpers, and occasionally I will see that jumper, the rider, will hold his head on the side of the horse's neck when going over a jump. Is this a good form?
Not particularly. It's more desirable than sitting straight up going over the fence, but it's not really good form.
Number 1, what is the purpose for that posture?
Well, because if you get behind the horse, you'll put a tremendous amount of weight on his rear, which is very difficult for him to jump.
All right, there we are now. And without placing too much weight on any part of your anatomy, suppose you bear down on your pencils, on your ballots, and vote right now, if you will, please. Without consultation, mark your ballots for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All set, all ballots marked. Tom, which one did you select this trip?
I selected number 3. She has a wonderful... as a matter of fact, these 3 ladies all have wonderful looks about them, and I think they could easily be. It was wonderful when number 3 corrected number 2. I'm sorry that I didn't ask number 1 the same question, because knowing Willie Stein, we would have gotten a 3rd answer, and that always makes it more fun for us, even if it is harder. I voted for number 3.
Jinx.
Well, but I voted for number 2 because, hope you'll excuse... Will you forgive me if I say she seemed to have the reins in her hand?
Oh, yes, she did indeed. All right, Johnny, your choice.
I was trying to see if any of them had bow legs when they were standing up there. I guess that is not a clue anymore, is it?
I didn't forgive Jinx yet, John.
I voted for number 1. Because...
Kitty.
Well, I voted for number 3 because when number 1 said that She said you have to sit, you shouldn't sit back on the back of the horse when you're jumping. Number 3 sort of giggled as if this was not exactly true. And she corrected number 2, which means that number 2 could not have been the one.
Because she was 2. All righty, let's let that reasoning sit right there. And let's get to the business of finding out whether we're right or wrong in our choices as we learn the actual identity of which one of these is the real equestrian and a member of the equestrian team for the United States. Will the real Kathy Lusner please stand up? Thank you very much, and best of good luck to you this year. Thank you so much. All right, let's find out about the others now. Who's what and where we are. Number 1, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
Well, my name's Terry Flanagan, and I work for a medical research institute.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to tell you who number 2 is myself.
Oh.
This pretty young lady happens to be production assistant on my daytime show. Number, please. Her name is Minnie Ballantyne, and she's a wonderful guest. Minnie, now that you're on this side of the cameras, would you like to make this a career?
No.
You know, of course, there's not a boyfriend you have who's ever going to trust you again.
Oh, well.
I give her a little bit of pause. Thanks again, ladies, for being with us. And checking the score, we find there were, again, 2 right, 2 wrong, which means that $250 each. 2 wrong means a total of $500 from Easy On, and a gift package of fine products from the makers of Easy On as well. Hope you had fun being with us. We enjoyed having you here. Good night. Good luck to you. Now, panel, let's meet our 3rd team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Bill Root.
My name is Bill Root.
My name is Bill Root.
Follow along again, if you will, please, and the long and the short of it comes to be revealed. I, Bill Root, make my living from card games. I am a bridge teacher and tournament champion. Recently, I was appointed Games Authority by the Association of American Playing Card Manufacturers. As such, I am the ultimate authority on all card games. I establish and interpret the rules and settle any disputes that arise from them. I am concerned not only with the familiar card games like bridge, poker, pinochle, and canasta, but also less familiar card games like accordion, cinch, pitch, scat, Towie, and Napoleon. Signed, Bill Root. All set and comfortable, gentlemen? Very well, let's proceed then, and we'll ask this game to start with Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, what is Oklahoma a form of?
It's the family of the gin rummy games.
Number 2, can you tell me Mr. Culbertson's wife's name?
Yes. Josephine.
Number 3, where does Oswald Jacoby live now?
He lives in New York now.
Number 1, where is the Regency Club?
The Regency Club is situated on 67th Street. They have a building. It's a bridge club.
Number 2, do the Regency rules maintain in canasta?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tom.
Thank you, Bud. I better get my question out. Number 2, could you tell me the difference between the rules for blackjack between the house game and, say, a friendly game or the barracks type, which I'm familiar with?
Yes. In the home game, for one thing, there is no push. The dealer wins, and the deal rotates. In the casino game, they have one dealer, and you bet against the dealer, and a tie is what they call a push. Nobody wins, nobody loses. So.
Thank you. Number 3, what's 52 pickup? Do you know that game?
That's a children's game.
Funny, I played it in the barracks, too. I wonder what war I was in.
Jinx Falkenburg.
All right, number 1, what is Boris's, the great bridge player's, last name? Number 3, do you know his last name?
No, I don't.
Number 2, do you?
Boris with a bridge player?
Boris, that plays at the bridge club all the time.
There is a Boris Koichu, a Boris Raymond.
All right. Number 1, can you explain very simply and quickly the new Stamen system?
The new Stamen system.
All right. Number 3, what is...
pistol system?
With the new system I've just learned. Number 3, what is the penalty if you renege in bridge?
If you renege, you get a penalty card. The card becomes a penalty card, and it must be played at the first opportunity.
I'm talking about bridge.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Johnny.
Number 2, if you open with a 3 no-trump bid as the opener, would your partner who had bid 2 spades but holds less than 12 points, would he double or pass?
You have to come in. If my partner had less than 12 points.
I don't even know what I asked. What did I ask? Number 1, who's John Scarney?
John Scarney is a man who watches that other people don't cheat.
Number 3, what's a stripper deck?
A strip deck is a deck that has been shaved down on the sides to indicate high cards.
That's all the time we have. We stopped right there and got our pencils ready to mark our cards. Will you please do so right away and get your ballots marked without consultation, voting as you do for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All ballots marked so soon, so quickly? Okay, Tom, which one this time?
I voted for number 2. I thought he answered the questions rather well.
Good for you, Tom.
Jinx, what is your choice this time?
I, too, voted for number 2 because he has long, agile fingers that look as though they can manipulate cards with great dexterity, and he knew Boris's last name.
Johnny.
Well, number 1 knew John Scarney, and number 3 knew a stripper deck, but from standing up there, I'm going to vote for number 2, Mr. Root, because his roots go down a long way.
Up a long way. Kitty.
I voted for number 2. There are no penalty cards in bridge, and also Mr. Jacoby, I think, lives in Texas, and number 1 said that Oklahoma is a form of gin. I think it's a form of canasta, and so I voted for number 2.
All right, there we have it. Unanimity right down the line. All voting for number 2. Let's see how right or wrong we may be as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the real card expert and authority extraordinary. So, will the real Bill Root please stand up? Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you. I'm afraid our panel was a little bit sharp. I guess you could call it a panel of card sharps here. You're a little too sharp this time. However, we'll find out about the other 2 before we go on to finding out what the score is going to be, although it's quite evident. Number 1, your real name, please, and what you really do.
My name is Rod Rogers, and I sell stamps for collectors. I've never played bridge in my life.
Number 3, your real name and what you do, please, sir.
My real name is Lenny Elterman. I'm with Haller Plastics, plastic injection molders of industrial products and toys and that sort of thing.
But you know what it's... Thank you. Quickly.
How'd number 3 know what a stripper deck was?
I played cards once before.
He won't tell you where if he knows what a stripper deck was. Well, obviously, there were no incorrect votes. And in a case like that, then our sponsor contributes $150, which you will have, so that your evening will not be a total loss. Ours was not, because you contributed mightily to our entertainment and fun. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night, and good luck to you. Well, that's almost all the time we have for tonight, panel. You know, I always, for some reason, had a different interpretation of the word stripped. I don't know, but how did you learn about it, Johnny?
I used to do magic.
You used to do magic?
Mm-hmm.
And you mean you strip a deck to do magic so you can manipulate the cards?
Shave the sides. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
You knew the expression, too, didn't you, Tom?
Oh, yeah. Tom used to strip.
Only in the barracks.
No, in the Navy, on the first deck, on the stripper deck.
Oh. Jinx, I hope you had fun in your visit with us tonight.
Oh, thank you, Bud. I loved it.
We should look forward to having you here with us again.
Thank you.
Give my love to the family. And to all of you, panel, wonderful people that you are. It's always fun for me with you. Good night, and God bless you.
Good night, Bud.
Night, Bud.
Bud Collier saying good night from Easy on Starch and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
The preceding program was pre-recorded.